Extremely cold air is continuing to funnel into the east. A lot of precipitation is on the way for the Pacific Northwest, and we have a strong winter storm getting ready to head up through the Northeast. It's December 1st, 2025. Let's get into the weather updates. The big story today is definitely this winter storm that is heading through the Ohio Valley and up towards the Northeast. Before we jump into this though, let's quickly go over our 7 to 10 day forecast. Starting with what's going on today, we currently do have some snow flying through portions of Nebraska and Kansas. As we move through the day, this moisture will be transitioning out to the east. If you're in Omaha, if you're in Kansas City, if you guys are seeing any of this snow falling, let me know in the comments. Sometimes you can see this snow on the radar, but it's actually evaporating or it's not even making it to the surface. I do think Omaha is going to see some snow. It's going to be a little tougher in Kansas City, although right now our models are still expecting an inch or two in Kansas City, so we'll have to see how that plays out. As I said, we're going to move through the day, and that system is going to make its way up into the Northeast, and this is going to get very close to putting snow down in DC, Baltimore, Philly, and New York City, but it does look like that snow is going to stay just inland to the north and west, unfortunately, although I do think you have some good opportunities ahead here. Now, as that system moves out, we have some more moisture funneling into the Rockies, so some good snow for the mountains there, and then potentially some more snow for the upper Midwest. We're going to start to see a lot of moisture moving in from the west. So this is as we get into Wednesday, Thursday, we continue to see our polar jet buckle into the plains and out east. Continued cold air, continued lake effect snow because the Great Lake waters are still warm enough early in the season, and this very cold air moving over it, of course, is going to produce that snow. Now, we could get some snow pretty far down to the south here. This would be interesting through portions of New Mexico, the panhandle of Texas, the panhandle of Oklahoma. So this would be Wednesday night into Thursday. We also have a storm system moving in off the Gulf, and we start to see some snow flying up here in the Northeast. Now, this could actually be some coastal snow. It's lighter snow. It's not associated with a big storm system, but our temperatures are very cold up here. You can see the bulk of the cold air is being pushed down right over the mid-Atlantic and New England here. So there's an opportunity there to at least get some flakes flying from DC up through New York City and Boston. We'll be watching down here this week as well, especially as we get towards the end of the week for the threat of severe weather. Now, getting into this weekend, into Friday and Saturday, we continue to see this flow of moisture through the southeast. This is going to be a lot of precipitation. We're talking 7-8+ inches over maybe a 3 to 5 day period. So definitely something we're going to have to watch over this time frame too. As we get into this weekend, we're going to continue to see clippers trying to move through the upper Midwest and out towards New England. We start to get kind of an atmospheric river setting up in the Pacific Northwest. I'm going to zoom out a little bit so we can take a look at that. As we move into this weekend, you can see this kind of atmospheric river pumping into the Pacific Northwest. We have multiple storm systems lined up here, trailing off from Alaska down into the Northwest. And as we move forward in time, we're going to continue to see the Pacific feeding us that moisture into our jet stream, which is why we're going to see the chance for a lot of these Alberta clippers through the upper Midwest and, like I said, heading out towards New England. During this time frame, as we get into the weekend, the Northwest should see a lot of moisture. Rain for the low elevations, snow for the high elevations. You can see here moving into Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. Just watch this region out here. A constant stream of moisture. And again, that is helping with these clippers through the northern tier states. Now, as we get out a little bit further, and I don't want to get too far, I don't want to get into La La Land, but we'll look out a tiny bit further here into early next week. We still see our jet stream favoring the East Coast, and I do think it's possible that one of these clippers actually tries to put snow down along the northeastern coast here, just because we'll be so cold and there's such a constant feed of that moisture. Snow-wise, we can see where this snow wants to be placed over the next 10 days, and actually the Euro does put a little bit of snow on the ground from DC up through New York City. Only a couple inches, and I do think this has to do with one of those clippers moving over the region while all of that cold air is in place. We're looking at some good snow in the Rockies as well. I mean, look at Colorado. That would be very, very nice for you guys. Utah, unfortunately, a lot of these storm systems are staying just east of you, but there's still time for that to change. Here is our 6 to 10 day temperature outlook from the Climate Prediction Center, and not surprising, we are remaining very cold out east while the west stays warm. That ridging is going to hold for a little bit longer, and I do actually suspect the east will continue to be cold at least through the second, if not through the third week of December. Moving into the 8 to 14 day temperature outlook from the Climate Prediction Center, remaining cold out east, remaining warm out west, not much of a change. This is going to give us a lot of opportunities for some more snow out here in the east. And then moving all the way out to the 3 to 4 week temperature outlook, look at this, the east remains cool. Now we start to warm up potentially a little bit in the southeast, but the mid-Atlantic, New England, Midwest, portions of the Ohio Valley, you're remaining average to below average, while again, the West stays warm. I do think we're going to see a little bit of a transition as we get into January, maybe even mid-January, of some of this cooler air favoring the West. I still have to get my January outlook out, but we're going to struggle a little bit out in the West, especially to get some snow into the mountains through December. Precipitation-wise, the next 6 to 10 days, we're expecting a lot of moisture up here in the Northwest, Northern Rockies, and up towards the Northern Midwest. Again, we're going to have that atmospheric river setup with a lot of storm systems also moving in down from the Alaska region. And this is going to combine with our jet stream to pull a lot of moisture into the Northwest and try to transition that moisture out over the northern tier states as clipper systems and potentially out into New England as well. Moving into the 8 to 14 day time frame, we see something very similar. A lot of moisture up here to the north. Again, atmospheric river into the Pacific Northwest. A lot of those clippers being transitioned out to the east. The southeast remains a little bit above average with moisture, and the southern plains, southwest, we're still looking pretty dry. This is when I think the east coast here is going to have a good opportunity for some snowfall. We're expected to remain below average temperature-wise during this time frame and continue to have above average precipitation. So we're talking about a period here of potentially 3 to 4 weeks straight of above average precipitation up here in the Northeast with below average temperatures. So obviously below average temperatures, above average precipitation, you know what that can bring. That can bring snow. So December continues to look good for this region for snowfall. We'll have to see if one of our storm systems can properly link up with our jet stream to produce a big nor'easter or a major snowstorm, or if we're just going to have some clippers trying to drop some snow throughout this region. All right, let's talk about the storm system we currently have that is putting some snow down in Nebraska, Kansas, moving out to the east. We're going to have some rainfall down to the south. Here we go as we push throughout the day. This is getting into the afternoon. We're expecting this snow to transition out to the east. We could get some snowfall moving into central to northern Missouri, eastern Iowa, Illinois, southern Wisconsin, and we're going to have to watch out for that wintry mix, that sleet or ice down here through portions of southern Missouri and northern Arkansas. Getting later into the evening tonight and into early tomorrow morning, early Tuesday morning, we could have some snowfall falling along the northern border of Kentucky here. Again, though, it could be a wintry mix or even a little bit of ice. It's going to be very close. St. Louis could get a decent amount of snow, and then Indianapolis, Columbus, Dayton, most of Ohio here is going to see some snow from this system. And then we have some lake effect triggering again up here in western Michigan. Chicago looks to get some snow, but we'll come back here and take a look at the totals in a second. Let's move into Tuesday morning and then Tuesday afternoon. This system continues to transition off to the east. We could have some issues with ice out here in western or northern Virginia. Here we are moving through the day on Tuesday. We're getting into the late morning hours into the early afternoon, and we have snow falling basically everywhere in Pennsylvania, except for Philly. It's still not impossible that some of this cold air gets pushed out a little bit farther east and you get some flakes flying in Philly, but right now it looks to stay to the north and west of the I-95 corridor. On the front side here, it looks like Boston's going to be rain as well, New York City, Baltimore, and DC. Let's move a little bit farther and get into Tuesday evening. We have some cold air now beginning to funnel into the back end, and this is when we could get some brief heavy snow falling into Boston. Upstate New York gets some good snowfall there, and then we may also see this snow falling along coastal Maine. It's going to be very close, but right now I do think we are going to get that snow out along the coast. So let's take a look at our snowfall expectations. We could see 1.5 to 2.5 inches in Kansas City. I would probably favor the lower end just because we could have some mixing issues. Transitioning out to the east here, maybe an inch in St. Louis. We could see we could get a couple inches falling out here in southeastern Iowa. 2 to 3 possibly up here in northern Missouri, and then we move out a little bit farther east. Chicago, we can maybe see up to 2 inches here. I think Chicago may actually see more than this just because you're going to have a good snow ratio. I'm looking at these snow totals on the north end of this system and saying maybe even push these up 1 or 2 inches because it's going to be so cold. You have some snow on the ground from this recent system. That's going to help with those snow ratios. This snow is going to start accumulating as soon as it starts falling. It's not going to hit the ground and melt for the first 6 hours like what happens sometimes early in the season. So I do think up here where you're seeing 2, 3, 4 inches, we can maybe even push that up an inch or two for some of these areas. I think you'll get more than expected. The southern end of this, be careful. Some of this is going to be sleet. Some of this is going to be wintry mix. So I don't think we're going to get 4 inches of snow into central Kentucky, maybe an inch or two, but for your guys' sake, if you like snow, I hope I'm wrong there. I definitely think 2 to 4 inches is possible here through central Ohio. So I'm rooting for you guys in that region. Pittsburgh, 4 inches, definitely possible. Let's move up to the northeast. A good swath of 3 to 5 inches up through New England, I definitely think is possible. Someone's going to overperform because they're going to be in one of these snow bands. And yeah, you could get 7 or 8 inches on the high end there. Again, the snow is expected to remain just to the north and west of the I-95 corridor. Boston, though, I do think you'll get some back end snow as those temperatures drop as the low pressure moves off into the northeast. Our Arctic oscillation wants to dive negative over basically the next 2 weeks. So this is a good sign for a lot of cold air below average air into the states over the next 2 weeks. Our NAO or North Atlantic Oscillation also wants to go negative. What does this do? It helps with winter storm tracks out east, especially along the east coast, if you can get the proper setup, cold, wintry pattern out east. And our WPO looks to remain negative over the next couple of weeks. It'll try to get up there back towards average, but really not much to talk about here. We do have some nice high latitude blocking right now, and that is expected to continue for a while. This right here is very interesting. We could be in an MJO, an amplified MJO, phase 8 here in just a few days. This is kind of sped up. Phase 8 is fantastic for cold air out east, winter storm tracks out east. Although look at the collapse of the MJO as we move into the the second week of December. So this is very interesting. We'll have to watch what happens here over the next few days. Still a good sign for some cold air and snow out east, although we would want this to stay a lot more amplified. Taking a look at our updated 30-day 500 millibar height anomaly from the European Extended Ensemble. Still a fantastic look for cold air and winter storm tracks out east. As I've said throughout this video, this is just what the globals are seeing. Most of these models do agree on this below average air and above average precipitation for the plains and out east moving forward. I appreciate you guys watching this video. If you like this type of content, don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell. I post videos like this every morning, and I live stream every morning right after I post them to answer all of your weather related questions. If you want to become a member of the Climate Crew, the link to my Discord is right down in the description. Again, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video or in the live stream.